On today's show, since its creation in 1982, Pheasants Forever and its volunteers have helped restore more than 12 million acres of pheasant habitat. Every project a team effort, but one volunteer stands apart.
Exactly how that's supposed to work.
Up next, we're headed to a park known as the Hiker's Paradise, complete with overlooks and cascading waterfalls.
A nice crisp apple.
And what's cooking in the kitchen? Laura Schara is gearing up for the waterfowl season, prepping wild duck. Our Minnesota-bound classic this week is remembering a grouse named Greg. Imagine that. Greg wasn't an ordinary bird. He was one of a kind. Those stories and more next.
Minnesota Bound. Brought to you by Minnesota's select GMC dealers.
Hi, everybody. Raven and I welcome you to the show. You know, if you're a pheasant hunter, chances are you've heard of an organization called Pheasants Forever. Pheasants Forever and its members, volunteer members, have one major goal, and that is to secure and protect, increase pheasant habitat throughout pheasant habitat range. Well, there is one volunteer that we found in southwest Minnesota who goes beyond the call of duty. Travis Frank has the story.
One sign says all you need to know about Scott Rawl. At his bird camp, you'll see plenty.
Welcome to the Outpost. This is Scott's Paradise.
I do lots of education, a lot of prairie education here. I bring the members of the garden club come out here and church groups. Just lots of people that have never seen or walked in grass that's 6 feet high.
Scott's land cuts through a valley restored with native grasses.
This one over here is the one we're just going to jump into. That's got a Blizzard Buster and Cane Mania mix from Pheasants Forever. They do signature seed stuff.
Yeah.
And I think it's 9 feet tall.
Scott just might be wildlife's #1 fan.
You know, he was a Field and Stream Hero of Conservation finalist a couple years back. They called him the protector of the prairie. And to me, that's pretty darn powerful, and it absolutely rings true.
True, thanks to his 30 years devoted to Pheasants Forever's mission.
I'm just a die-hard, passionate volunteer. When I first started volunteering, it was because my kid had no place to hunt. Then I got better at it and decided that, you know, shooting a lot of pheasants was pretty fun, you know.
Today, his focus remains on habitat, specifically building more.
Very nice. That's exactly how that's supposed to work. People ask me a lot of times, you know, you shoot a lot of roosters. And I say, you're right, but harvesting a renewable resource doesn't hurt that resource as long as you're providing a place for them to reproduce.
In 1986, Scott Rawl, with the help of his sidekick Les Johnson, put their PF chapter on the map.
Nobles County Pheasants Forever bought the first property ever in the history of the organization in 1986 called Pheasant Run 1.
But one just wasn't enough.
We just closed on Pheasant Run 35.
35 properties restored to native prairie.
You can't drive a mile around the city of Worthington and not see the impact that that chapter has had on habitat, but also on the water quality in this community. It's absolutely amazing. You think about what this guy has done as a volunteer. There are guys like Scott Rawl that they give of their time, their blood, their sweat, their tears, their money, so we can all have places to go that are magnificent like this.
Everyone, regardless of whether you carry a gun or not, can find something about Pheasants Forever that they can get excited about.
That's when you know you've got good prairie grass.
In his lifetime devoted to conservation, Scott proves time and again, hard work comes with rewards.
When you support Pheasants Forever, the property that we buy is perpetual, it's there forever. If you can build a spot and make it permanent, I call it postage stamp, pieces at a time. You come to Nobles County and we've built a spot down there, one postage stamp at a time, that has made it a pretty decent place to come and chase roosters.
There's habitat on the ground, there's birds in the air. We got a beautiful Minnesota rooster. Beautiful setting, flew up across those trees and made a nice shot.
If you look at that hillside over there, that was farmed at one time, should never have been farmed. And I made a commitment on that one that hill will never be farmed again, whether it's in CRP or not.
In Scott Rawls' Field of Dreams, pheasants and hunters win every time.
Prettiest bird in North America.
Up next, it's time for a walk in the park, North Shore style. The name says it all, Tettegouche.
Minnesota Bound is brought to you by Minnesota's Select GMC dealers, Rapala Ice Force, Star Bank, and by Connecticut. Walk in the Park is brought to you by the Minnesota Zoo, connecting people to animals and nature to help save wildlife around the world.
Up next, a feature we call A Walk in the Park. That is featuring one of our Minnesota's beautiful state parks. This week, we're going to the North Shore to visit a place called Tettegouche.
Tettegouche State Park is a very rugged landscape, and it extends from the lake shore to the far inland. Hiking trails involve a lot of ups and downs, but with that extra work, you're rewarded with views of large vistas and the waterfalls.
It's the biggest park on the shoreline of over 9,000 acres, and there's plenty of room for everybody here.
Tettegouche State Park is located about an hour and a half up the North Shore from Duluth and is located about 5 miles from Silver Bay. The park was formed as sort of a response to the preservation of Tettegouche Camp. With the acquisition of that land, they built the park by acquiring lands around it. It was a great place to retreat to. The 1.7-mile hike into Tettegouche Camp will get you away from all the activity in the rest of the area. You're away from the hustle and bustle of the world. There's no cars allowed in there. Guests at the park can rent out the cabins. Activities on the lake, you can go canoeing, fishing in the lake, swimming in the lake. It's a nice spot to relax. There's a lot to do in the park. We have 23 miles of trails. There are 4 waterfalls within the park with trails that go to them. Behind me are the high falls. They're the highest falls within the state boundaries at 64 feet. They come crashing down through rhyolite bedrock that was formed 1.1 billion years ago. This is a very popular spot for people to come to the falls to take the hike here, just because it's such a dramatic place. The hike up to baptism is about 3 miles round trip. Just below that are 2-step falls, which is kind of a cascade of 2 steps. We're here at the park in the fall. The maple leaves are peak color, and the birches and aspens are on their way. One of our popular trails at the park is Shovel Point. Along the way, you get great views of the lake. You're going to be on the tops of very high cliffs. Great photography, and you may see the peregrine falcons soaring overhead as well.
It's fun to just come up here and just sit and watch. I find it relaxing. It's just beautiful. It inspires you to want to be a better photographer. I wish more people would come up and experience it.
Down on the lake shore itself, there's a lot of rock climbing. This is one of the most popular rock climbing areas in the upper Midwest. It's a worldwide destination for folks to come and rock climb.
Climbing here at Tettegouche is the best in Minnesota, in my opinion. I've been to all four corners of the state. Shoreline climbs here are unsurpassed. Definitely the cliffs are very challenging. The cliffs that we climb on here are anywhere from 100 feet to 220 feet. This is no place for beginners. Rock climbing for me is, I call it vertical chess. It's simple. You make the moves, you connect several moves together, and then you're back to the top.
The whole park is beautiful. There's so many different areas that you can go to and hike to.
One of the things I really love about working at this park is just kind of the world-class destination that it is. We've got the landscape and topography and the wilds here that just aren't really available to people anymore. Just a great place to get out and reconnect.
Kind of sprinkle those across the top.
Coming up, Laura Schara takes on a recipe that's sure better than her dad's, preparing wild duck.
Closed captioning is brought to you by Border View Lodge.
Time now to go wild in the kitchen. I'll tell you a little secret. One of the wild game I could never cook well is wild duck. Other people can, I could not. But daughter Laura seems to have found a recipe for wild duck that, well, I guess tastes pretty good.
Today we're getting wild in the kitchen with Chef Jim from Fire Lake Grill House and Cocktail Bar, and we are making one of my favorites, which is pizza.
Pizza.
I love it, and it's wild duck pizza.
Wild duck pizza, you got it.
Oh my goodness, so this would be fun for the family to create together, and it seems like we just have a few simple ingredients.
It is. It's very easy to put together, but it's got a lot of flavor.
All right, so what's the first step?
We're gonna spread a thin layer of some cipollini cream.
Now, what is in cipollini cream?
Easiest way for me to explain it, very similar to like an Alfredo sauce.
Okay.
But it's made with cipollini onions. It gives it a little extra flavor, a little sweetness. So yeah, just take a spoon or ladle, nice thin layer across this. Next, we've got our duck. Notice that the skin is on. A lot of hunters don't like to take the time.
They don't, and hunters, we should be listening here. You guys should take the time to leave the skin on because...
Well, whenever possible, I understand. But it's going to keep a lot of that natural moisture in. So it's almost like an insulation, kind of a self-basting process during the roast.
And the flavor's in the fat.
That is true. As soon as it's cool enough to handle, we're just going to take that out. And we're just going to kind of shred it right over the top of the pizza.
Here, I can help you with that.
You want to do that for me,
Sure, I'll
please?
do this chunk. Look at this beautiful duck meat.
And then the next thing that we're going to do, we're going to take a nice crisp apple. Granny Smiths work good, or any tart variety that you have. Nice baking apple that will stay crisp.
Hey, how am I doing here?
Doing
Good?
great.
All right, there we go.
All right, so next go the apples. Then we also have some fresh figs.
Okay.
Sprinkle those on for me.
That's...
And then we got a couple different types of cheese. We got some blue cheese crumbles. Kind of sprinkle those across the top.
Sure.
And then we also have some Parmesan if you'd like to sprinkle that over the top.
That. What a fun way to get kids involved too with cooking wild game. And
Definitely.
this with pizza.
Kids love to make pizzas,
That's
and even
right.
more, they love to eat pizzas.
That's
so.
true.
All right, now we're ready to go in the oven.
Perfect. So, how long does our pizza need to stay in the oven?
8 to 10 minutes, 450 degrees, golden brown and bubbly.
Golden brown and bubbly. I think it's been about 8 to 10 minutes, don't you think?
I think it's golden brown and bubbly.
Okay.
Let's go check it out.
So there you have it. It's wild duck pizza today, and if you don't have any wild duck in your freezer, you can get this pizza right here at Fire Lake this fall. And again, it's so easy to do, yet wildly delicious.
Is that hot?
Very good.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jay Epping, veterinarian at the Blaine Area Pet Hospital. A common question I get from my clients is how important is dental care for our pets? One thing I can tell you, it's extremely important. Lack of proper dental care can lead to bad breath, tooth loss, and gum recession, as well as the same bacteria that hangs out in the tartar in the mouth can get into the bloodstream and go to the liver, kidneys, and heart valves. So what is proper dental care? Just like us, brushing the teeth. What you want to do, grab a dog toothbrush, dog toothpaste, and brush those teeth as often as you can. If you can do it daily, that's ideal, but any little bit that you can do is going to help. If there's too much tartar that's there, speak to your veterinarian about getting a professional cleaning done.
Still ahead, a classic that tells the tale of a man and his grouse. Yes, I said ruffed grouse.
Minnesota Bound is brought to you by Ellsworth Cooperative Creamery, Radco Truck Accessories, Totem Resorts, the premier destination for world-class fishing.
Time now for a Minnesota Bound Classic. You know, when you deal with nature, every once in a while you run into the bizarre. Bizarre is a good word for that. Which brings up a story about Greg the grouse. Greg is a wild ruffed grouse that started to act in a very unusual way. I mean, chasing lawnmowers, is that common? I don't think so. Time to meet Greg the grouse. Just about every day, Tim and Betsy Petromit take a ride in the woods to meet Greg.
There he is, right there. Come here, Greg.
Come here, buddy.
Greg the ruffed grouse.
Come on, Greg. Come on. Come on. It's kind of windy out. There you go. Should we go for a ride?
If you've never seen a wild grouse before, let's just say riding on an ATV is not normal behavior.
Hang on.
Back there checking for deer, and he came out and back in December, and he's been here since.
When Tim first started telling me about this grouse, I didn't even know what a grouse was. And he was like yapping about a grouse, and I'm like, just call him Greg. So we just started calling him Greg. I don't even know if he's a male or a female, actually, do we?
But we do know this grouse is a motorhead.
Next thing you know, he's right around the four-wheeler, and then all of a sudden he jumped up, and I just thought, there's nobody that's gonna believe this.
Of course not.
We got a letter from the Grouse Society, and they think that it's the grouse is showing he's like a male dominant grouse, and he's showing us that this is his territory or something.
Or maybe Greg wants to mate with the ATV. We've known other grouse before that were enamored with motors. This one seemed love-struck with a lawnmower. And this one, named Rusty, well, Rusty loved cars. Now what Greg is thinking, we can only guess.
He's got an attitude, but he's for the most part, he's nice.
You roosting already?
It's a little early to be sleeping, Greg. Come here, pretty boy.
Come on, Greg.
Don't be shy.
There's no doubt Greg lives in the fast lane. Old age for a rough grouse is about 3 years.
I'm trying not to get too attached because they say he's got like a short lifespan, and I'll have to get a dog or something after this, I suppose. Should we go home? Wanna go home? You're kind of having a bad hair day, Greg. Are you embarrassed?
In the meantime, this trio of unusual ATVers seems to be enjoying their time together, as short as it might be.
See ya. See you later. Be a good boy. Bye, buddy. Go home. Go hide.
Go figure, huh? Well, that about does it for us. Remember, introduce a kid to the great outdoors. I'm Ron Schara, and my nervous star of the show is starting to act goofy as well. That's Raven, of course, huh? What's your problem? Oh my gosh, yeah.
Transportation provided by Premier Transportation. Call 1-800-899-7433. To get more Minnesota Bound, including full episodes, go to mnbound.com. And to follow our latest adventures, like us on Facebook.